stand Mary from the Kingdom Hall.
What's going on, Maggie?
It's because her and her family are so different. She acts different than me. She's not even from the same country, and she's so weird.
Well, let's talk about this and think this through. I know that you hear it all the time from Mom and Dad and from the meetings about how important it is for us to be getting along with one another, even if they are from a different background than us.
But it's hard. We're so different. She likes different music I've never even heard of. And she hardly speaks English. She has different interests, and she has different clothes that just aren't what I'm used to for people to wear.
Well, I know that can be hard, but we do need to follow what Jehovah wants us to do. And there's a scripture that comes to my mind. It's Psalms 133 and verse 1. Can you read that one, Maggie?
It says, "Look, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity."
Okay, so we're going to break this scripture up. It said for brothers to what?
To dwell together in unity.
Right, and that means to live with each other in a form of unity. And this word unity, it's a very strong word. It means not having any diversity or differences. It's a state of being whole or one. And then the scripture says for brothers to do this, and that's another really strong word, isn't it? You and I were fleshly sisters, and we share a really tight bond. So we call the people at the hall brothers and sisters because we all share that united feeling of love for one another. So if Mary's your sister, as long as she's serving Jehovah, how should you feel about her?
I should feel love and unity with her, I guess.
Very good. And then the beginning of the verse, it tells us why. It says to look how good and how pleasant it is. So obviously it's good and pleasant for us to be doing this. Don't you feel good when you're getting along with your friends, and doesn't it make you mad and grumpy when you're not?
Of course, that's why I told you about it. It just makes me so upset.
So it's good and it's pleasant and enjoyable for all of us, brothers and sisters, to be joined in unity, to be getting along despite our many differences. And we're all different. None of us are the same. Don't you think that Mary might think that you might be a little bit strange? She's from a different country. She might think that you dress weird or you talk weird. But we do need to be doing our best to get along so that we can be pleasant and good to Jehovah. So let's look at the rest of these verses. Can you read verse 2?
Sure. It says, "It is like the good oil upon the head that is running down upon the beard, Aaron's beard, that is running down to the collar of his garments."
So these words, they apply to the brotherly unity that was enjoyed by God's ancient people. And they went to Jerusalem, which was a city a little whiles away, for 3 festivals every year, just like we do for our assemblies and conventions, which is always full of different kinds of people from different walks of life. And don't you think that they needed to overcome their many differences, Maggie?
Yeah.
And they all came from their different tribes, but they were still one family under Jehovah. Those being together, they had a wholesome effect on them. It was like that refreshing oil that had a very pleasing scent. And then when that oil was poured on Aaron's head, it flowed down his beard and ran down to the collar of his garment. So this shows that being together, it had a very good influence that worked through the people as a whole. Any misunderstandings that they might have had was cleared up. And then like us today, when we follow their example, we're happy and encouraged. So let's look at verse 3 now. It says, "It is like the dew of Hermon that is descending upon the mountains of Zion. For there Jehovah commanded the blessing to be, even life to time indefinite." So what do you think that means?
That the dew is refreshing also?
Very good. And that's like when we look out at the grass in the morning. We see a lot of dew, and it's refreshing to look at. And then it goes on for miles and miles. And just like the scripture, the dewdrops, they expand from Hermon all the way to the mountain of Zion. Just like our brotherhood, it expands all over the world. It doesn't stop at any borders of any countries. We all dwell in love and unity. So how do you think that we can apply these scriptures to your situation with Mary?
Well, I need to get along with her even if she is from a different background. I want to be good and pleasing to Jehovah, so I'll love her and be nice to her since she's my spiritual sister.
I think that sounds like a great plan. You know what? We can even ask Mom and Dad if her and her family want to come over for a game night. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that sounds fun.